Hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Today's day 3 of the build. Well, it's not calendar, but it's the 3rd day I'm working on it. Today I'll be staining the panels. I know it's not very exciting, but I'm not planning on painting the main fuselage or the main canoe or the boat or the trimaran. So I'm going to have to stain all the panels before I start assembling it. The stitching glue is an epoxy resin. Once I get that on there, I'm not going to be able to stain it. I have to stain everything first, and then once I've done that, I can move on to assembly. So step 1 is I've cleared off the front deck. This is where I'll be assembling the canoe. I've got to lay down a drop cloth to protect the decking from the fiberglass resin and the stain. So I'll lay down a drop cloth, and I'll put out some tables, and we'll lay out the material, and we'll stain some stuff. Gotta love the dollar store. $4 for a little drop cloth. 4 by 10 feet.
Those are cool.
Yeah. 4 feet wide, just right. Yeah. That's all the resin and stuff. Once I get through that process.
Yeah.
Throw a couple of staples around just to keep the weight on it.
Yeah. Put one in the middle.
That'll do.
Okay.
Just cut it over there.
Okay.
There you go. I can't turn it on. Ta-da! 1 drop cloth. Exciting. Alright, well, like I was saying earlier, because I want a darker finish on the boat, and I'm not painting it, I've got to stain it before I assemble it. Because, if I don't, once I put the epoxy resin on there, I'm not going to be able to stain the wood underneath the resin. So, all has to be done first. Give it a good week or so to dry before I can start the assembly of the boat. If you're enjoying this video, please consider supporting us on our Patreon at the link at the bottom of your screen. It goes a long way to help fund fuel costs and equipment costs. Now, the way stain works is the amount of time that it's on a piece of material, obviously, is how long it stains for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from tip, in the front I'm going to go from the bow to the midship, and in the stern I'm going to go from the stern to the midship, doing each panel all the way down like this. As I get to the end and I go to wipe it down, the bow on each piece, this end, because the stain's been on longer, is going to be a darker shade. So therefore, and it'll be lighter in the middle. So if I follow each, do the same thing on both sides, and stain just the 2 pieces as I go down. Hopefully I should get a nice gradual darkening towards the bow and the stern. That should give the boat a nice look. I'm of the opinion if you're going to take the time to do a project, always try and think ahead and do the best job you can. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to go along and say, boy, you got a really nice graduated tint and stain there that just is very aesthetically pleasing. But I'm going to know it's there.
Good.
Sheets of plywood always have a lighter side and a darker side. I've been working with plywood for years, I can tell you that for sure. So as I did this, it's going to take the stain differently. So I wanted to make sure that the outside of the entire canoe had the same face of the plywood. So because of that, what I did was, as I made it, I marked it all out, labeled each piece as to where it was, whether, for example, this is the port stern, that's a port stern, starboard stern, and then the bow you have your port and stern. I labeled each piece of wood as I sanded it, making sure that I have the right surface upwards. And if you look on the bottom here, at the end of the table, I moved the labels, and you can see that each piece on both ends is labeled, so I know exactly what part of the boat it goes on. So hopefully when it's all put together, I'll get a reasonably even finish from bow to stern on the canoe, so it's all relatively the same color. And you can see it in these pieces. This is what I'm talking about. That's one side of the plywood. This is the other side of the plywood. This is the same run of plywood, so they're using the same wood on it. Okay, so you see how much darker that one is and how much lighter this? Now once I turn this around, so I've got the same face, turn it around. Ah, look, they match. That's what I'm talking about. Pay attention to which side of the plywood is on the outside of your boat, or it's going to look like shit. Well, that wraps it up for this weekend. That's about all we can do. I got all the panels cut out and they're pre-stained. Everything's labeled. I have to let it dry for a week to make sure that the stain is completely dry before I apply the epoxy. Make sure I get a good bond there. Until then, that's everything. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.